Hello, welcome to the Teapot Reads. I'm the Teapot. This is what I'm currently reading and I'm so happy to see you today. Hello, hi, how are you doing? Just a warning, I might end up needing to change locations at some point during this video because this is the table that everyone in the house uses if they're doing like projects, and if someone needs it more than me, I will totally give it up. But what are we doing today? Well, I'm always looking ahead. I'm always looking ahead at books that are coming out, at books that are just announced, even if they don't have like a release date. I'm constantly trying to just see what's coming, and I'm always excited. I'm always want something to be excited about, and I pre-order a lot of books. It's an issue, I'm aware, okay? But I just do it because it's fun. It's fun to have this exciting stuff coming. And I keep actually on my computer, which I'm gonna keep my computer up because I'm going to be using it. That's one of the reasons I'm filming here, is because there was no way I was gonna memorize all of these books I'm about to talk about, so I have my computer to help me. But I have a list on my computer of just all the books I have pre-ordered and the dates they're coming out. And sometimes I just open this list and look through it and I'm like, yeah, can't wait. Wow, April 19th, 2022, Sophie and the Bone song. Woohoo! You know, so it's far, but it's exciting all the same. And that's actually what I'm going to be doing today. I'm going to be trying to get you excited for 2022 releases that I'm already excited for. And I do kind of have it chunked off into sections that make sense for me. And I'm going to try and tell you release dates, what they're about as quickly as I can. I don't want to spend 2 hours describing these books. And some of them are sequels, so I don't want to give anything away for the sequels. But it's not alphabetical or the order in which I'm most excited for any of the releases or anything. It's just when I was compiling them, the sections are books I already have pre-ordered for 2022 releases, books that I have on a wish list, and books that, as when I built that wish list, hadn't even been available to add to the wish list. So I'll talk about those. But yeah, there's quite a few books. There are 30 books. That's so perfect. I didn't even plan that. That is so perfect though. Now, because there's 30 books, I'm really going to try to be able to describe them in a minute or less. That is the goal. So let's just get into it. And we're gonna start with the books that I already have pre-ordered. First of all, we have To Paradise. This is the new Hanya Yanagihara book. It is coming out in January 11th. Every day that creeps closer makes me a little more anxious for it. This one has kind of sci-fi vibes to it, and even reading the description, it's a little hard for me to parse out, but it's one of those books that I loved A Little Life so much. I really don't care what it's about. I know I'm going to read it. From what I understand, it's I think it's 3 centuries apart. Yeah, so 3 centuries apart, and then it's 3 versions of the American experiment. So it's 8, but they're alternate universe America for the American experiment to happen in. So there's 1893 America in New York, 1993 Manhattan, and 2093. And so one of the reasons I'm really excited about this is Hanya Yanagihara is almost sort of infamous for not really having a lot of female characters, even though she is a woman, and not having a lot of female representation. And having read A Little Life, it makes sense that they're the way that story is told and what it's about, it makes sense that there wouldn't be. But one of them, according to the description, one of the protagonists is a woman. So I am excited a little bit to see some female characters hopefully get fleshed out in a similar way. I'm also pretty sure there's gonna be gay, so but yeah, this one doesn't even really have a cover yet. I don't care. As soon as I heard that Hanya Yanagihara was putting out another book, I was like, sign me up. Okay, then we have The Servant Mage by Kate Elliott. I've never read a book by Kate Elliott, and in fact, this would have normally flown under my radar, except I kept seeing advertisements for it on Instagram. So this one is coming out January 18th, 2022, being put up by Tor.com, and I do really like Tor, and that's probably actually why I was seeing advertisements for it, is because I really like Tor as a company, and I tend to like the things that they've put out. They have a good track record with me. And also the cover has a dragon on it. So I'm very much into that. I'm fairly certain it is a standalone fantasy novella, and I don't read a lot of those, so I'm very intrigued to get into it. Basically, it follows, I think, Thalion is how you pronounce the name. She is like a fire mage. She's a lamplighter, which I love that they like use magic to like light lamps. Like, that's cool. And she's basically freed by this rebel movement, but then gets caught up and in like some conspiracy, and that's really all I know. I'm just excited, I think, because I mean the cover has gotten me very excited, and the reason I pre-ordered it was just because it was appearing everywhere. Sometimes I feel like, yes, that is the algorithm, and yes, that is targeted advertising, but also a little bit it's the universe, you know? So this is me shoving it in your face in case you were like wondering, maybe not. I will say, even though I have pre-ordered it, I probably am not going to read it right away. I'm very interested in and intrigued in it, but it's not one that I'm going to feel like I need to be on top of it as soon as it comes out. Then, of course, and I'm not going to speak any more about this, I know the publishing date I think has moved to like late February, but House of Sky and Breath, this is the sequel to Crescent City. I loved Crescent City. It was one of my favorite books of 2020. Was that when it came out? I'm a big Sarah J Maas fan. She's very much a auto-buy author for me, so I'm just excited for this one. Me trying to get you excited. This is one of, like, Crescent City, it's advertised as like a love story a lot of times, but it really is a fantasy book. I will say that it's fantasy, and it's like new fantasy because it's set in like a city, but it's not urban fantasy. It was delightful and amazing, and like I couldn't look away from it. It's also a great book if you are kind of looking to get into fantasy. Maybe you have some experience with urban fantasy or with like fantasy romance. This is a great bridge book into like proper fantasy. I know a lot of people give Sarah J Maas some shit for just not being like a good plot writer. I disagree with that. I very much disagree with that, and Crescent City proves that a lot. So very much looking forward to book 2. Another auto-buy author, for the most part, I actually should qualify this. So this is Gallant by Victoria Schwab, V.E. Schwab. This is her new YA book. It is coming out on March 1st. I do have it pre-ordered. If there are special editions, I will probably pre-order the special editions. V.E. Schwab is very much an auto-buy author for me for her adult books. Her YA books just don't do the same stuff for me, and I haven't tried her middle grade, though I do really want to. And you know what, maybe I should give her YA another fair shake, but we're gonna see with Gallant. It's not that I think they're bad, it's just that I think the writing that I appreciate from her is the stuff aimed at me, an adult. So I'm a little hesitant about Gallant in like that regard, but she has said it's one of those books that it's being sold as YA, but its target audience is a lot wider than that. It's like The Secret Garden meets Crimson Peak, and that's really all I needed to hear. A gothic Secret Garden, dark fantasy-esque story. Also, the cover is stunning. I'm gonna say that about like almost every book on this list. But yeah, Gallant, I again can't wait. She's practically auto-buy for me. Also, I'm pretty sure there's art in it, so very, very excited for that. Here's another one. So this is also being put out by Tor, and I think I saw it advertised by them. This is All the Horses of Iceland by Sarah Tolmie. I've never read anything by Sarah Tolmie. The title is what really intrigued me. So this is coming out March 1st. And I have like a weird, maybe not weird, I just think Iceland is a very interesting place and I would love to visit. I am admitting this freely. I used to be a horse girl, kind of. Not like as extreme as like some people were, just because like we didn't have the money to be like extreme as like some people were. But I did take horseback riding lessons and I competed a little bit, and I read a lot of horse books. So horses and Iceland, two things I do really like. So this is like a retelling or a reimagining or a showing new audience. I think a very classic mythological tale of the horses of Iceland. Like there's a saga behind that, and this is telling it. It's not a long book. It looks like it's gonna be less than 200 pages. This one I will read almost as soon as I get my hands on it. It sounds very, very, very cool and very, very different from a lot of things I read. And if it's written well, and I've heard good things about the author. I think she has one other book. If it's written well, I can very much see it becoming a sort of cult classic. Okay, so I talk about it sometimes in my vlogs, but I do write. And that's my goal, is someday to be a published writer. One of the first stories I wrote into completion is something that this book I'm about to tell you about reminds me about. And that actually makes me really happy because I'm like, oh, cool. Because that book that I wrote, like it's not, it's in the drawer probably permanently. But I get to kind of read a version of it. And is that weird for me to be excited about? But anyway, this book is called Firewilder Magic by Allison Saft. This comes out March 8th. Again, the cover is lovely. The cover is stunning. I adore it. This is a romance fairy tale-esque vibes. So there is a hunt for magical creatures, and if you catch the magical creature, you unlock a magical secret, and this is like the last one, and so like this is like the last chance. So Margaret is desperate, hoping that this will help bring her mother home. Is she able to win the hunt? However, she needs a teammate, so she teams up with Weston Winters, who is like training to be an alchemist but isn't. And anyway, yes, the two of them romance is what I was trying to say. See, fuck, no, it's a romance. It's like a fairy tale romance, and I'm just very, very excited for it. I probably won't read it the day it comes out, but I very much plan on reading this next year. So this is Ever After by F.T. Lukens. This comes out March 29th. It is not a sequel to, what's it called? In Deeper Waters. It's not a sequel, but I think it's like in the same vein where it's like a gay retelling. It also is tapped as like a Carry On meets Arthurian Legend. I love Carry On. I love Arthurian Legend. I mean, that's really enough to sell me. I think I haven't read In Deeper Waters like yet. I have it. I'm very excited to read it. It's one that I am very interested in. I haven't read it yet, but I'm planning to read it before, so this is Ever After. If I hate that book, I will cancel this pre-order, but as it stands, this sounds like a recipe for something I will love. Queer fairy tales, mate. If you couldn't tell, that is pretty much the perfect, like, that's what I want. Queer fairy tales, queer fantasy, and this is that, so. And like I kind of teased in the opening, Sophie and the Bone Song by Adrienne Tooley. This is coming out April 19th. This also is queer. Let's hear it for some lesbians. No, but I mean, we should always. But basically, it's a standalone fantasy. Again, don't read a lot of those. Love them when I get them. And it is about a young musician who, like, I think magic and music are kind of the same thing. And she's trying to basically expose her rival who uses like illegal magic. And I'm so excited. I don't need to know more than that. I haven't read Adrienne Tooley's other book, A Sweet and Bitter Magic. I did pick it up earlier this year, and it is high on my list to get to this year, and maybe actually sooner than later. But Sophie and the Bone Song, I cannot wait. I cannot wait. Okay, so this section are books that I haven't pre-ordered, but I do put on a wish list. For me, that's a big deal. If it makes it onto my wish list, that means I will eventually be buying it. Just means I didn't have the money to buy it at the time for pre-order. If you were curious about my way of thinking, if I don't even put it on my wish list, it probably means I'm not in a rush to buy it. But first of these is The Ivory Key by Akshaya Raman. This comes out January 4th. This is the first in a duology, and can we just like sidebar, I like that there's like more variety in series structure in YA now, but I much prefer trilogies to duologies just because I like to live in worlds longer. I'm not saying make the story longer or rush it to like fit it into any category, but I do really like trilogies. So I'm kind of sad that we've almost seen the death of trilogies lately. Like, I'm a little sad about that. But The Ivory Key, it's about four siblings who are not close, and they just like, they don't really get along. They don't have a lot in common. There was like fighting, I think, between them. This is a fantasy. Almost all of these are fantasy. And they are kind of united on this quest for the Ivory Key. It's this magical item, and each of them has a different use, a different reason they need it. And anyway, they're just united on this quest, and I'm excited to see family, because I love found family stories, but it's also really interesting for me to read about like families that are like blood families, but then are also families you like. Does that seem really bleak and sad? But do you know what I mean? I feel like we don't see a lot of blood families that are close in book, not the way like found families are. And I'm kind of interested to see this family. If they don't come together, that would be cool too. But if they come together, I think that'd be really kind of soothing in a way. Then we have Daughter of the Moon Goddess. This one doesn't have a cover yet. This is by Sulin Tan. This comes out on January 11th. It is a fantasy inspired by the Chinese legend of the moon goddess, which right there and then was everything I needed to hear to know I was like sold on this book. Like, it sounds great. Again, this is the first in a duology. Basically, it's about a girl who ends up going to the celestial kingdom and she's looking to sort of rescue her mother. So I am excited for it. The reason I didn't pre-order it, and I will be frank, is because it sounds a little bit like Star Daughter, which I did not like. I did not like that book. I was very disappointed by it, which is such a shame because it had everything in it that should excite me. So I'm kind of hoping Daughter of the Moon Goddess is like at least skewed older, because I think that was one of the issues I had with Star Daughter. It just felt like it was skewed very young and I couldn't connect with a lot of things. But that's a different story. But Daughter of the Moon Goddess, it sounds great. It sounds great. I love when things are inspired by mythology. I especially love that we're seeing more diverse mythology, and yeah, that's a big reason I'm excited for this. So this is The Girl Who Fell Beneath the Sea by Axio. It comes out February 22nd. All I needed to see was perfect for fans of Uprooted and Miyazaki's Spirited Away, and I was like, add to wish list. Like, yes, I will buy you someday. Like, oh my god, it if anything is ever compared to like Ghibli or Miyazaki films, I'm like, okay, I'll buy it. Sounds good. What? Oh no, it doesn't matter. I'll buy it regardless of what it's about. So yes, I am very excited for The Girl Who Fell Beneath the Sea. I don't know much about it. It's about a girl who ends up swept away to the spirit realm, and take me, I'm ready for this book. I'm ready. And then this is actually really interesting too. So there is this reclaimed or remixed classic series that I don't know what publisher it is. I can find out. Firewilder and Friends, that they're doing. So there's a couple that they're doing. There's a Clash of Steel, which is a Treasure Island remix. And these are sort of like taking classics and giving them to diverse authors and letting them reimagine these classics in the way I think that almost they wish they had read them. So there's Clash of Steel, a Treasure Island remix by C.B. Lee. This next one, So Many Beginnings, a Little Woman remix by Bethany C. Morrow. It comes out this year, so it's not on like this video, but I have pre-ordered it. I cannot wait for this book. And then the one that is on this list, because I could add it to my wish list, is Travelers Along the Way, a Robin Hood remix by Amina May Safi. There is another one called What Souls Are Made Of, a Wuthering Heights remix coming by Tasha Suri, but I don't think they have a release date for that one yet. So again, not on this list. But I love Robin Hood. This is something I don't talk about a lot because I haven't read a really good Robin Hood retelling in a very long time. I don't think ever. I'm a big fan of the classic Robin Hood stories. I really liked the first 2 seasons of that BBC show. I like Robin Hood, one of my favorite like myths, I guess, and I'm 100% interested in this because that's what this is. Also, I think this is a really neat idea to give these classic stories that don't really get I mean, Robin Hood does get told a fair bit, but like Little Women, I feel like doesn't. Treasure Island doesn't. Wuthering Heights doesn't really get retold. People just like rehash the same exact thing. They reimagine the same story. They don't really retell it. So I'm thoroughly excited for the series, and I'm thoroughly excited for this one. And then the last one on my wish list is 1,000 Steps into the Night by Tracy Chi. This comes out March 1st. It is, a lot of these are like Japanese inspired stories, and Japanese and Chinese and Asian inspired stories, and I didn't do that on purpose. I'm just now realizing this connection. But basically it's about a girl who gets cursed and starts turning into a demon, and yes, please. I love that concept on every level. So yeah, sign me up. That sounds great. Okay, now welcome to the third part, which is books that didn't even have a listing to be able to put on my wish list. So yeah, some of these don't even really have dates other than that they're planned to come out in 2022. Also, fair warning, because a lot of them don't have dates or titles all the way or covers all the way, they may not actually end up coming out next year. It could be further down the line. Yeah, further down the line, that's a phrase. We're gonna be really quick. Also, some of them just don't have huge descriptions, and I was just like intrigued because I like the author. So first of all, and this kind of fits all those categories, is A Tempest of Tea, Hafsa Faisal's newest book. I'm very excited. It's a heist fantasy. It's by Hafsa Faisal. So, yep. It's set in 2022, fall of 2022, so near the end of the year, but that could end up changing. Then we also have, actually this one has actually changed dates since I put it on the list, but because I want to keep 30 books on this list, I'm going to mention it, and that is Swordcatcher by Cassandra Clare. I guess I could actually switch this to the final The Last Hours book, because I think that is still coming out in 2022, so yeah, whatever Cassandra Clare puts out next year. I'm excited for it. Auto buy to the extreme. Foul Lady Fortune by Chloe Gong. I have not read anything by Chloe Gong yet, but there's so much hype around her, and also she says like seems so sweet on social media that I'm excited for whatever this is gonna be. Also, I love the title. Here's an untitled book by S.A. Chakraborty. No, I haven't read anything by Chakraborty yet. I do have her first book, City of Brass. But I will say this one has a description, so I can share that with you. It is Sinbad meets Ocean's 11, basically. That's what the description says. That's what I'm gonna go off of. That sounds great. Ocean's 11 is one of my favorite movies. Ocean's 8, was that the female one? Also one of my favorite movies. I think there's pirates and crusaders and treasure, and sign me up, I'm sold. I'm very into pirates at the moment. Now we have Belladonna by Adeline Grace. This doesn't have a release date or cover yet, but it sounds so good. It's like gothic fantasy horror, and I will admit that's not my like favorite genre, but when it is done well, I just like want to steep in it like a bag of tea in hot water. So it's about a girl who is whisked off to go live at Thorngrove Manor, which is like her family's manor, I think, but like extended family, and she's contacted by the ghost of her late dead great aunt who says she was murdered. So Signa, I think is how you say the name, she ends up teaming up with Death himself to unearth the truth. When Death is a character, that's always so exciting. I love seeing different people's interpretation of Death as a character and how dark they want to go. And yes, I do love romances with death and devils and demons and stuff. So I'm a simple person. Here, oh, this one's excited. This one's excited. This one, I'm excited for all of these, but this one is really exciting because it is pitched as Percy Jackson meets the Hunger Games, two classic staples from my childhood. It has no title. It is the first in duology. It was by Aiden Thomas, and that's all I need to know. I loved Cemetery Boys, one of my favorite books I've read this year. I haven't read Lost in the Neverwood because I'm not a big Peter Pan person. I probably will end up reading it, but yes, I'm very excited for this. Also, when I was like pulling this page up to have like everything about it here, I found out that he has a book coming out in 2024 called Gay Titanic in Space, or not called, but that's what it's pitched as. And hello, I need that. Then we have The Wicked Bargain by Gabe Cole Novoa. Not to be completely unprofessional, but my food is about to arrive, so we're gonna like race through these last couple ones. The Wicked Bargain by Gabe Cole Novoa is about a, well, it's own voices, so I do like that. It is about a trans pirate who is hiding his identity and he has to deal with the devil, and also like the Spanish Armada is hunting down pirates, and they have like secret magic, and again, like I said, very into pirates. Doesn't have a release date yet, except 2022. Then we have What Monstrous Gods by Rosamund Hodge. She's kind of an auto buy. It is Sleeping Beauty, where Sleeping Beauty ended. So it is about a girl who was like the Sleeping Beauty type character, and she gets involved with like the gods of her world. I trust Rosamund Hodge, so I am excited for this book. Then we have The Sun and the Void. This is by Gabriela Romero La Cruz. Again, 2022. I'm not sure if this is YA or adult fantasy. I don't really care. It is about a girl who she's on the verge of her death, and her great aunt or great grandmother or something, she's a dark sorceress and ends up saving her life, but now main character is like indebted to her and has to kind of like be with her and like help her out, and I think be like an assistant sort of thing. She ends up being sort of welcomed into this upper caste family's house where she falls in love with the daughter, and she will do anything to make sure she's able to stay in that house. Then we have A Taste of Golden Iron by Alexandra Rowland. Again, no cover, no date, except 2022. It sounds like a sort of sci-fi fantasy mix-up, and it sounds like it's going to be very tactile. And I'm just going to read this like one line from the description that says, in Arasht, where princes can touch, taste precious metals with their fingers, and myth runs side by side with history, counterfeiting is heresy, and the conspiracy they discover could cripple the kingdom's financial standing and bring about its ruin. It is about Kadu. He is a prince of Arasht, and he basically ends up humiliating his family somehow, and he, to kind of make up with it, starts investigating this other thing, and then this line. Sounds great. I love the concept. Then we have The Book Eaters by Sunyi Dean. It is a community for whom books are food. So I feel like I'd fit, because I wish I could just like sometimes instead of eating, just read, because sometimes I'm so invested in a book that I don't want to get up. I just want to keep reading, and I wish that could nourish me. But you know, we have to. Anyway, it's set in like the English moors, which I love that setting. I think that's going to be really fun, really immersive. It's about a woman who, she has basically been groomed to be a wife, to be a mother, and she has a child, and the child is a mind eater. So she has to, you know, protect him, and she sets out on a quest to protect him, even if that means like getting rid of like the role that she's always been, you know, groomed to play, and having to break out of this mold. Then we have The Water Outlaws by S.L. Huang. This, again, no release date, no cover. I'm really excited for this cover, though. I think it can be a lot of fun if they do it well. It is a queer epic fantasy full of bandits, and it's just like martial arts, and I think heist stuff, and steeped in Chinese mythology. It sounds great, right? It sounds awesome. Ooh, 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 ooh. Oh, this one. Oh, this one. The title alone should get you excited. It is called When Women Were Dragons. Yes, yes. It's by Kelly Barnhill. It says, so it deals with the events leading up to and beyond the mass dragoning of 1955, when over 300,000 women transformed into dragons, and all I need is this book. Will read it as soon as I get my hands on it. Just the concept is amazing to me. I want to be a dragon. I want to be a dragon. I feel like it's going to be a really like hard to read book, though. Like, I have a feeling it's going to involve a lot of sorrow. So I'm like excited, but not excited. This one has a cover and a release date. This is A Magic Steeped in Poison by Judy Eilen. This cover, gorgeous cover, comes out March 22nd. It's good for fans of Leigh Bardugo. It says, basically the main character has accidentally killed her mother by brewing poisonous tea, and her sister is also imperiled by this same tea. So she enters a competition to be like the kingdom's best tea brewer. Basically, I'm sure there's like proper terms that I just don't know. And yeah, it's like the competition, the court politicking. I love those things. Competition stories get me. Like I said, I loved Hunger Games, and I loved Throne of Glass, like for the competition partly. Fantasy competitions are really cool to me. I love them. They're a trope that I don't think I'll ever get tired of. Now we have Nettle and Bone by T. Kingfisher. Again, we have a cover and then a release date, April 26th. This is, I think it's just a standalone, but it is about a girl, Mara. She's the third born daughter, and she's very shy. She's been raised in a convent, and basically her and her sisters have all been suffering, and she has always been waiting for someone to come save them, and realizes no one is coming to save them. She has to do it. So she teams up with a grave witch, and like from there it all takes off. It sounds really cool. It sounds really fun. It sounds like it's gonna play a lot with fairy tale tropes. I know there's something with like fairy godmothers involved, so I'm very, very intrigued to see where it goes. It sounds like it's gonna be dark and whimsical and sort of really fun. Finally, we have The City of Dusk by Tara Sim. No release date, no cover. The gods have left this world, and Risha is a necromancer. There's like 3 or 4 main characters, but necromancy I'm really excited for. This is Tara Sim. I'm just like all over the place because my foot's right there and I'm staring at it. Whoop. Tara Sim, really like. If you've never read anything Tara Sim has written, you're totally missing out. City of Dusk is the first in an epic fantasy trilogy that she's written. It's her first adult series, and I'm very excited for that. It's gonna be queer, pretty sure. I love necromancy and necromancer characters. I'm a big sucker for that as a trope, thing, class. Yeah, I mean, the gods are gone. I love stories where like gods play a role in it, but like a physical role in it, and even just like the fact that they left is a physical role in a lot of ways. So That's why I'm excited for that one. That's why I'm excited for that one. So those were 30 books coming out in 2022 that I cannot wait to read. I cannot wait for any of them. A lot of the ones that I couldn't pre-order, as soon as I can pre-order, I will be adding to my pre-orders, or I will be adding them to my wish list as soon as listings go up. That was a little exhausting, but a lot of fun. I love looking at what's coming. It's so exciting to me. But what about you? Are there books in 2022 you're already excited for? In fact, let's go. What books just coming out 2022 or later are you excited for? There are a lot more that I am like interested in that I didn't make to this list because I was like, I might read it. These are all books that I think I would try to read in 2022. I don't really add it to my wish list if I'm not gonna try to read it that year. But there are some books that I am interested in. I know Holly Black has an adult book coming out. I just don't know if I'll read it next year, kind of thing. But that's me. That's 30 books. Wow, 30 books I'm excited for. I hope I've gotten you excited for at least a couple of them, because then we can talk about it together. I don't know, you know? But yes, thank you for being here. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sticking around. If you want to see more content like this, do not forget to subscribe. I post at least once a week. And is it a little too early to be excited, tell you to be excited for September? Because I've got some big things coming. But I will see you. I hope you're doing well. I hope you are staying comfortable. If it is cold where you're at, I hope you're staying warm. If it is warm where I'm at, I hope you have access to AC if you want it. But most of all, I hope you are reading a good book, and I will see you next time. Bye.